in this moment where it's especially worse for William St. Paul, and Liv, who are still in the room. But for everyone else, there was just this concussive wave of energy that even though you were in this clean hallway where the jets in the water don't work, the purifying jets don't work, you felt the wall shake to your right. And there's that thing that happens when you're inside of a building as the foundation of whatever inside you're in moves or adjusts, like a bit of dust gets knocked off of the walls and the ceiling. And it doesn't happen in here because this is a clean room, but you hear the pipes creak as they resettle, and you watch as a little bit of liquid comes out of the nozzles on the jets as they were jostled by the explosion. And you look behind you. Liv, who's in the hallway, was just smashed up against that east wall. It is kind of on their knees on the floor, and there's dirt and dust, and there's like a mouse on the floor next to Liv, and there's just papers everywhere, and a bunch of cables, like cables that used to be alive and attacking you all as a group. But there's just a mess right there, and you watch as just St. Paul comes up around the corner, and he's just covered in like a black liquid, and there's a whole bunch of like plaster and dust stuck to him now because of the black liquid that's on him, and he's just kind of brushing his clothes off, but doesn't look like he suffered that much from that explosion. And he comes over to Liv and offers to help them get up.
She will take the kind gesture.
Get on up, little Warforged. That was a hell of an explosion. Luckily, I know my way around an explosion. Y'all good in there? And he looks down at you guys in the tunnel.
Eltar comes rushing up to Liv as well.
Yeah, she's not looking good. You need another potion? I think I got one here somewhere.
I will be fine. And you see she starts with her fingers uncaps to reveal a screwdriver, and she starts fixing herself up as she it'll take her a quick minute as she casts mending.
Nice. So you're repairing the physical damage of your exoskeleton, but he watches you as you're doing minor repairs, and the metal of your form. You watch as you cast mending, there are like cracks in your metal carapace, and they start like reforming. But also some of the metal that's on the floor around you becomes liquid and forms back onto your body as it was liquefied from the explosion. But the mending is causing it to reform. And he goes, "Oh, that's quite a nice trick. But here, just in case." And he hands you a potion of greater healing.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, you can call me William. That's good. Your captain will pay me back for that, I'm sure. The rest of you all right in there? Come on in.
Certainly. Let's get you patched up there, my dear. I'm not really sure how this works, but the mainframe is in the other room where these things came from. Lydia?
That's correct.
As you come around the corner as the party, and I'll bring the party token into that room so you all can move it if you don't want to move your actual tokens. But you see St. Paul's, like, he picked up a bar from against the wall, and he's like levering the lightning golem out of the way because there's pieces of it that went kind of in every direction, and he's just kind of creating a path so that way the rest of you can get into the mainframe. Like, oh, good. I'm so glad we don't have to fight something like that again.
Well, don't jinx it.
Do we see these things over in the corner?
Yeah. So as you step into the room, you see that any bodies that were hanging up in the rafters from the cables on the west side of the room are now lying on the floor. And something that is especially gross is like some of the bodies that fell on the floor are just completely empty of blood, while other ones seems like whatever was drained out of them, it happened at a more slower pace. But several of the bodies are now on the floor. But in the east, you see the helmed horror that kind of tried to warn you and wave you out of the room now has a cable blight trying to strangle it. And it's trying to weakly fend itself or get free of these cables as it's constricting.
Can I throw my blades at this creature, like aim and throw it?
100%. 100%. Yeah, and as you see that, like, the cable is like grappling the helmed horror, but the helmed horror is also holding the cable blight. So it is currently, they're both restrained. So you'll be doing this at advantage.
Okay. That is a 19 for 25.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely hits full damage. Yeah, you rolled a natural one with your other. Good thing you had advantage. Oh, soundly. So the blade, the psionic blue blade, leaves your fingertips, especially light, as it weaves through these different. There's a bunch of these standing metallic sarcophagi that are vertical, and your blade weaves through them, hits center mass on the cable blight, and you watch as it falls apart, almost like a bundle of snakes, as each of the different cables just fall into different directions and fall to the ground as the creature dies.
I think Haley would move towards this creature that was trying to wave them out. Move up cautiously. What the story is.
Okay. So you move to the east side of the room, and you're looking through at these standing metal tubes. You see that there's little windows on each of them, and aside from the large ones that were broken, because one of them contained the living lightning bolt, and the other one contained the lightning golem, you see that there are more helmed horrors inside, and there are also more iron defenders, but the lights inside the tombs are now off, and you can tell that these creatures are inert as you move to the east.
Well, Olivia, what do you make of these creatures? These iron beasts in here? They don't look like they're gonna move around too much, but you still look like you're shaken up a bit. But I would certainly like to get your perspective on these. And she starts gesturing to these containers.
Yes, Livia will limp to one of the containers. And what's her take?
I mean, this is interesting, right? You're proficient in Arcana, aren't you? Give me an Arcana check at advantage because of your backstory, your history. It's hard to argue with a dirty 20. So, kind of get a look around this room. You see the way cables, both electrical and plumbing cables, carrying different fluids, are connected to these with helm porters and iron defenders inside. And you look at where they connect to the different server, and then you look at some of the other tubes, and you see that those are empty, but have like a different setup on the inside. And then you look up above you, where some of the people are still connected to the ceiling by wires and cables. And you start to realize that you can see how these tubes are paired off. You're following the lines between pairs of these tall metal sarcophagi, and you can see that every single time you see an iron defender or a helmed horror, you see a paired sarcophagi that is now empty, and some of them have broken glass, and there's liquid on the floor, but it's just, at one time there would have been pooling on the floor, but the ground beneath you is graded, so there seems to be some built-in filtration and ability to get liquids out of here without it pulling and messing up the electronics. And you can tell this was all designed. This is a place where they had people or creatures in one metal tube, and then a helmed horror or iron defender in another.
Oh, okay, got it. And from there, is there any other connections that go to? Is there any type of interface? Another computer in here that
There is, and it's directly south. So you see how the helm horror is all the way directly east of you against the wall. There is directly to the south of it. There's a computer panel and a keyboard. And as you get close, the helm horror kind of raises its arm, not in a threatening manner,
like raises its arms as like,
putting its hand out to you.
I guess it'll help Helmtor up if that's the case.
You can see that it's got cables that are plugged into the wall. And as you watch its chest, where before when you fought these helmed horrors, they had a very bright center chest that that you recognize as kind of like the power center of these magical technological creatures. Is dim and kind of flashing slowly. You can see that it is kind of retrofitted and plugged cables into itself.
You mean it plugged itself into this thing? Not, not somebody else. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You watch as it reaches for his own throat and starts to pull at the metal skin of its neck and pulls a cable out of its neck. Do you understand me now? Why are you here? Who are you?
My name is Livia. You may call me Liv. We're here to investigate the situation that happened here.
Where are the other? Is there anyone else? Did you find anyone else alive?
We've only found one body.
Look down at his hands, these metal hands with a glowing red light at your fingertips. And then he feels at his face where there's no face anymore. And he feels the helmet, the exoskeleton metal helmet. And he kind of shakes a little bit. And his hand balls up into a fist. And he slams his hand down into the metal grate. And it rings around the room because of the force of his metal form. There's no one else alive. Those idiots.
You are not like the others.
No, the experiments failed over and over again. They bring in anyone they could, and they'd offer fame and gold, and they died, or they went mad, and they'd have to be put down. And we had it though. We figured it out, but eventually we couldn't retrofit repairs anymore. The containment failed, and I was the only one to make it through before there was an overload in the system, and I was damaged as I made it through the process. And they spared me at first, but I had to put myself into standby to last until I felt the emergency systems turn on when the seals on the lab were broken. Is it safe now?
Affirmative. It is safe. Query. What is your name?
My name is Kenneth, artificer for the House Kenneth. Is there anyone? Are you alone?
Negative. I am with.
Hey, I'm over here. I'm not sure if you saw me. I was kind of hiding.
Oh my god. What is... Okay, was that an elf?
Affirmative.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen one, so hold on. I've done diagnostics. Let me see if I can fix. And you see him reach up into the circuitry behind him, and he pulls one of the cables. You can see that there are several connections where he's connected to himself that connect into the mainframe itself. And Liv, as you're standing there looking at his chest, you see that he's actually connected one of the main power cables into his body. And as you're looking at him, I'm just going to roll that dirty 20 over. You see that he must have had some type of power failure in his system, and he's connected himself directly to the mainframe. And he's done several repairs. You see where his exoskeleton is broken open in his neck, his chest, in the side of his head, and from the work that you see on this person, the way he's retrofitted a bunch of different repairs and connections, this seems to be someone who is working here at the lab and underwent the process. After he's fiddled with his head and some of the wires for longer, you see that his head drops down from a weird angle, and he says, My hearing issues seem to be resolved now. You're not so loud. Is there anyone in your party that can do mechanical repairs, or maybe do you have a bard or anyone who can take down information? You need to take down information from the lab. This information needs to get back to the houses. What happened here?
We have no bard.
But we do have Olivia who can repair stuff. And do you want me to take some information down, Olivia, while you guys talk?
Liv has ink, but no parchment or any utensils for writing.
Yeah, that would be a good thing, wouldn't it? I was just gonna write on the wall with my dagger.
But she's not a taper cook.
The one with and she pulls on her hair with the silvery beard.
You may ask him. I may be able to assist in any mechanical repairs.
Okay, so you're proficient with your Tinkerer's tools, so just give me. I mean, it's the same roll as if you're rolling Arcana, unless give me another Arcana roll. This is not going to be advantage though, because you've never worked on something like this before.
Oh, so close, so close.
You do have inspiration that everyone gets at the beginning of the session. Yep.
Let's use it.
Okay, 15's not bad. 15's not bad. You can see that many mistakes that someone would make if they're just working on something they're unfamiliar with. And you realize that because you're looking at him straight on and he's kind of seated on the floor, that he messed up when he connected himself to power, probably because of the angle that he was looking at his own form. And you look down into the chassis in his torso, and you can see that if you just make a couple adjustments with the power cable, you will extend the battery life in his body. So I imagine you kind of motion towards him that you wanna help, and he lets you. And as you you're already shorter. I mean, yeah, you don't need to kneel down. You're able to. There's this moment where even though he doesn't have facial expressions because he's just kind of got a red glow underneath his helm, you see there's apprehension for a moment as you disconnect the power cable and then you reconnect it and you twist it the right way that it should have been twisted in the first place, and it locks into place. And the glow.
Oh, I get it's a USB-A cable.
Yep.
I hate that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you see that the glow, even though it was pretty dim before and flashing, now it's a little bit brighter, but it's still slowly flashing. And as you look at his body, you see that there's just too much damage. And you have no idea if it happened in the event where, the catastrophic failure of this lab and the creatures in it and the Iron Defenders and Helmed Horrors getting free and attacking the people that lived here and worked here, or if it was something afterwards in whatever process happened that got that made him the way he is. You don't know when the damage was sustained. Whatever help that you do for him extends his life, but does not save him.
That's sad. And how long do we have?
That's interesting. Give me one more Arcana. But this one you will have advantage because you've now worked with his body a little bit. So this is just going to give you information. Okay, with a 10, you know that this conversation is going to be his last conversation, but you have no idea how long the conversation's going to be.
All right, guys, don't let me be the only one asking. Feel free to ask your questions.
Yep. So anybody can ask questions. Let me know if you have questions for him. Otherwise, he's just going to talk about what happened and what they were working on. So we can have that be a back and forth conversations where you guys ask questions, or he can just lore dump on you. It's up to you guys, 100%.
Eltar's going to be taking notes.
I didn't get his name in the speech synthesizer.
It was Nickel the Cannon.
Guys are talking to Nick Cannon.
Ward, if you're in the room, you recognize Nickel as a name that would be similar to a Warforged name, but not exactly a Warforged name, but something that is close to it. And also Ward would know, and I think anybody in this room would know because you're all from Eberron. Decanath was one of the major houses that created the Warforged.
What was the aim of? What was the goal of this? Why merge humans or otherwise with these constructs?
For the longest time, the houses didn't know what to do with themselves after the war. The war was responsible for so much death. It was also responsible for massive leaps in innovation, the creation and emotions towards Ward of a whole new species of being. Ever since the war ended, new threats have come along the horizon. Jarasco approached Cannon, and everybody knows House Jarasco. Jarasco has houses of healing all over Eberron. If you are born with a Jarasco dragon mark, you have innate healing as a part of you, no matter what kind of person you are, and you can heal with that dragon mark. So Jurasco Houses of Healing are just what, they're like franchises all over the world. That's what they call. Jurasco approached Kenneth. The goal was to create an army of healers, basically. Imagine if the morning happened again and another country was wiped off the continent. We needed an army that would be protected against the horrors of magic. Make another species again. The Warforged, while amazing and beautiful and are the first new life here in Eberron, do that again. There are laws in place. So Kenneth and Drasco have been working in secret to transfer the minds of people and animals into defenders and helmed creatures and emotions towards his own body. And we almost did it. Well, we did do it because I'm here. I don't know if it was bureaucratic bullshit or just laziness, but it just fell apart. It just fell apart.
Regardless, it was a success. Therefore, those research notes needs to be.
They're here. They're here. And he motions up above his shoulder to the panel on the wall with the keyboard underneath it. Everything we did here, all the lives that were lost, and the people that came through here, all their names are in these lists, and all the experiments that were done. It's all here. Do you have anything that can accept a download?
I don't think I have any. Well,
I need a D100 roll from Ward and from Liv.
100 you said.
Neither Liv nor Ward have a built-in memory module in their forms, so you do not have a way to download the information from the main. And Nickel looks between everyone. The emergency power is going to fail soon. I'll here, give me a moment, and you watch
As his head kind of goes down, you watch as scrolls past the screen on the panel above his shoulder, and just lines of code are flashing by. And in between William St. Paul and Eisendrach, a wall opens up. And then behind that, another wall opens up. And you see in these walls, you see through to the basement. And there's a fireplace that you're looking through, and you can see the basement on the other side. And the fireplace itself has sunk into the ground, and a panel has gone over it, so that way there's no fire or smoke anymore. But Eisendrach, as you look in there, you see that there's a tube along the wall, a clear glass tube, and you see smoke going up past it, through and back into the fire chimney. So there's like a workaround, so that way smoke does not cover this area. As you look through the fireplace, you see no one's in the basement anymore. And Ward, didn't you come down into the basement? There was a lot of people down here. And if you were to look through that doorway into the basement, there is no one in the basement right now. And then Nickel lifts his head back up.
Oh, that is an exit that has only ever been here in case of a total system failure. He kind of laughs in this robotic voice. I think this counts as a total system failure.
No fucking shit.
Who sent you in here?
Your job broker was a man by the name of Edward Partsmith.
That's right.
Edward Partsmith.
If he worked for House DeCanneth or House Jurasco, he has middleman. No one important. There's no way to save the information. How did you get here? How did you get to Pillar? Does your ship have what type of airship do you have?
Wait just a fucking minute. Why would we want your information if it led to all this?
We got it to work. We succeeded. Our containment failed, but the loss of life has to mean something.
You were all so preoccupied with whether you could, you never asked whether you should.
That's a extra inspiration point for Richard for the timely reference.
Thank you.
Whenever a new director came through, they spoke about a threat on the horizon, and I can't know for certain because I never had access to the managerial server. But the threat was deep in the ocean. They spoke about a possible source of the morning and the loss of Seer but we did this so that way we'd have an edge against whatever caused the mourning. This
He motions down at his form, and he pulls at the metal that is enwrapping his chest.
this is designed against the type of effect that the mourning was. The way it killed all those people and turned magic into living creatures. This is designed to repel that. We still don't understand it, but it's been tested, and we needed some way to defend Eberron from whatever is down in the ocean.
And you can hear him getting a little manic as he's trying to. He's looking around at the faces of all of you, and I imagine it's a mix of maybe understanding the situation and understanding why they made these experiments and why they did what they did, but also the horror at the cost of it. And even though he doesn't have a face anymore, he can read the expressions on yours, and he's trying to explain himself and defend himself. And Liv, as he's talking, you can see that this exertion, even though he's just speaking to you, he's not even moving his body, not really. It's draining the power that he has left. Like he's killing himself as he's trying to convince all of you.
Oh, Eltar's just looking at him with just open disgust and disdain.
Well, even if you couldn't do it, we're willing to make the sacrifice. These families of anyone who lost their life here, they were taken care of. The houses have resources. Their families are never going to. We could give that to people. Anyone who came in here understood the threat and accepted terms. I'm paying for this, and I'd pay for it again.
Barry, what would you want us to do, considering that we cannot have no way to download the information after the power is down? Will the information still reside in the mainframe?
Anyone who's in the server room, which looks like Eisendrach, Eltar.
Haley and Liv, give me perception checks. Ward, you're at the door. One from Ward as well.
23.
Oh, these are good rolls. 22. All right, so Ward from the door, and maybe because you're still kind of dealing with the damage that you took, and you're also maybe still looking through the fireplace, concerned that everyone seems to be missing. But you don't notice, and Liv, because you're right next to Nickel and looking at him, you're not able to see it either. But Eisendrach, Eltar, yep, see you two, you rolled great. Okay, DC was 18, so you guys knocked it out of the park. You can see over here, inside of these servers, there looks to be almost like a small suitcase. There are little containment boxes, and you see that there are several cables plugging into the top of them. And as you look, like on the glass, because they're inside of like a refrigerated unit, they say backup storage and power.
We all see this?
Eisendrach, you see it as you look, because you're kind of looking around, and you can see there's a gap in between some of the sarcophagi. Eltar, you see the glass containers back there. Haley, you see it from across the room also. But Eisendrach, you're the only one that's close enough to be able to read the lettering, the comment that's written on the glass. So it's up to you if you want to say something.
If no one else notices it, no, I'm not going to point it out.
Okay.
I will certainly point it out. Liv, what about backup power or something like that, like batteries? Whatever the hell those things are.
Yeah, Liv, if you see where Haley's motioning and you go over and you look, you see that there are like handheld battery packs that also have, in addition to the power cable which you saw stuck in Nickel's chest, you see several cables plugging into those, and you recognize that they are a dual power and data backup. But they're small, they're like handheld. You'd imagine that this is like a RAID system, basically.
Okay, so look, we're talking about 10, 01, 5, 6.
There's three of them in there, and two of them. Actually, I'm gonna do a look. Hell yeah! I rolled a 63. There is one that is still functioning. Got a green light on it, and the other two have red lights. And you can kind of get an idea that as this place is losing emergency power, these things were meant to be backups for the system and to store information, but the other two have died completely, and this last one still has power. But you can see that these are just backups, so they're blank. Like they're not meant to just automatically load stuff up. You're meant to take them over to the mainframe. So you're able to grab the last one if you want.
So we'll go and grab the last one and head over to the mainframe.
And Nickel sees what you're doing.
And if there's a place to plug it in, we'll go ahead and do that. And then guess I'll interact with the mainframe to see if there's a way to download the data before we lose power totally.
He looks down at his chest and then he looks at the backup.
I can do it, but this is the cable that is meant for that transfer. As soon as I unplug it, it's going to significantly time.
Liv will then hold it out.
He looks at Liv, he looks at Haley, he looks at Eltar, he looks past Eltar at Isaac. Says,
Up the most recent data on this project. What are you going to do with it?
We were here for a purpose. We will complete the job as directed.
Anybody else say anything, or is it just Liv?
Yeah, I agree with her. Yeah.
Eltar just takes out his pipe and starts smoking.
okay, so Isaac either nodded or said or agreed. So I need either a persuasion roll if you were telling the truth, or a deception roll if you were lying. And you can do a private roll, so only I can see it if you don't want to. That's up to the group if you're telling the truth or not.
Who am I trying to persuade or lie to?
You're trying to persuade Nickel because he has to unplug himself to do the backup.
I understood he's sort of dead one way or the other. So does it? I'm not sure why I would say bother anything. It's up to him how he wants to go out.
He just wants to see if
He's the one pushing for us to save all this. Doesn't seem that it would be on me to convince him of anything. He's already made up his mind. He's trying to convince us.
he's trying to read in your face if you're actually going to take it with you and deliver it something. Like he's trying to read. Like you're gonna roll and I'm gonna do a private insight roll, and he's gonna see if he can believe you guys. It's just this moment where he's trying to read your faces and see what your intentions are.
I'm here for the job. Need to complete the job. We do a better job. We get more money. So Altar could get more money because I know he's interested in the money.
So then this makes it easy for me. Let me go to your guys' character sheets and I can create a DC based on your ability scores. Okay, Isaac. All right, I have created a DC. Okay, he rolled pretty high. He rolled an 18. So he looks at Isaac over Eltar's shoulder as Eltar is smoking his pipe, and he can read the indecision in Isaac countenance. But he looks at Liv. Maybe there's a moment of recognition. Even though he doesn't have any facial expressions, you see it in the set of his shoulders and the tilt of his head as he looks at you, Liv. For the first time, probably since you've been here, he knows that you're not a Warforged. And maybe that's what makes the decision for him. As you see, as he takes the cables, the same way, like, with some VR headsets, you have like a couple different cables that have to plug in to get them to work correctly. He does. That's the setup that he has plugged into his chest right now, and he twists, pulls the cables out, and connects those same cables into the battery storage backup. And with his hand, you see him interface with the mainframe, which is probably how he did it before he connected himself to the mainframe with the main cable. And you again watch as information and code and data just flashes past the screen as it scrolls through. And there's an actual visual indicator on the battery memory storage backup as it begins to fill up, and you watch as a percentage fill up, and it gets almost all the way up to 100%, but stops at 94. And he says,
All right, that is only the most recent one. That is my data and the information on how we were successful. There's also a backup packet of all of the lives lost here, both in the years before, from all the experiments. The houses can continue in their promises to their families. Please take this with you.
What's he asking for us to take?
The mobile storage and memory backup.
because it has all. He told you that it has all the data from the last procedure and experiment that ended up being a success. His consciousness transferring into this body, and then all the information about all the different people who worked in this lab and all the different names of anyone who's gone through the process. And he seems to be the first survivor of it. Through some of the details he's given to you, talking about what's happened here, in order to convince people to go through the experiments, they promised the families of anyone who went through it that they would be taken care of financially, regardless of what happened to them in the experiment. So there's a backup of all of the names of all of those people, so that way, with this data, it would be like, here's all the names. Make sure those people are being taken care of. This is like the proof of that.
Got it. And that's all within that storage, the smart drive that we have.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's almost full. It seems like, and
94%.
yeah, and it's just this last experiment, not everything. And as you look around, live with your knowledge. Like, there's so much information in here. There's so much data storage. Like, this is a drop in the bucket.
All right, so we'll need to give that information here because then either one of the houses will need to come back and look at this because we can't take this entire thing with us.
I don't have much time left. Do you have any other questions before this lab is clean? If you removed all the threats, which you must have because we are being attacked right now, then a cleanup crew will be sent and all evidence removed, which is why
Who would be sending this cleanup crew then?
this is their lab. We were never told if it was Jarasco or Kenneth had the lead on this project, but they cover up their dirty work.
But wouldn't they come after the copy of the data as well then?
There's some way for you to secret it out of here. Maybe if you find a way to make a copy, maybe you would be able to do so before they try and take it from you. It's up to you now. There's nothing I can do.
I'm kind of confused now. Wait, I thought what I so now he sounds like he doesn't want the Canon and Jasco to have this information.
From your brief conversation with him, he seems like a real believer in the products of the experiments that have been done here for you. He believes that the loss of life was worth it, and the result was they found a way to transfer consciousness into robotic bodies, basically. Instead of creating Warforged again, they found a way to put people's minds inside of machines, and ones that could be protected against magical, threats like the Morning. And all he wants is for that data to survive this. So if that means handing it over to the house, like, that may succeed, but it may not. Like, they could take that data and sit on it forever. He just wants this to get out to the public. He wants it to survive, because if he didn't get it into that storage backup and give it to you, then it was going to die here. So he just cares about it getting out, and then it's going to be up to you guys where it goes from there.
Oh, if he wants it to be made public, Eltar has no problem making all of this public.
Yeah, like the label just kind of out here. It's all very interesting. Wouldn't mind studying it, but yeah.
Ward and Liv, please give me an intelligence check. So just a straight
intelligence.
Straight intelligence. We're testing your memory, right?
Uh-huh.
Liv does not remember. I'll say that's enough for Ward. Liv, you're looking at this device that you now have. It's almost like a small boombox. Remember back in the day where you'd have like a boombox with a tape player, and it'd have the speakers on it. It's a little bit smaller than that. One from the night.
So she's holding it on her shoulder?
Yeah, it looks so sick. You'd be right on the front of a magazine if this was 30 years ago. And Ward, you look at that device that is on Liv's shoulder, and you remember that there was a data hook in the captain's cabin on the ship. And you also remember that your captain is an artificer. So you may have a way to either download or back up or read that data should you get it back to the ship. Is there anything else you guys would like to ask him or talk about or anything before he fucking dies?
Yeah.
Who's in charge of all this?
It was a joint project between the two houses, and from my understanding, I've only worked on it the last 6 months, but every month there would be a new head of the project. The old one would leave up the elevator. The old one would leave up the elevator, and the new one would come down, and we'd never know which house they were from. They always kept their marks covered. And at that moment, you look about 10 feet away from him. In that tube, you see a man in there, and you see on his hand inside the tube is a mark of trap. Knowing that he's from House Kenneth, that's probably his old body in there. So you know that he was working. He was he was a house agent, and even he didn't know the managers were from, but it was a joint project between the houses.
Because I thought the people coming down were the victims, or the. So it turns out it was the head that was switching out.
Yeah, and if anything,
But they would never see that person come out. They only saw people go in.
so William St. Paul and up in the room, someone would come up and they'd leave, and then another person would go down. They told you.
Oh, okay. That's my fault then.
And you imagine that that's what these storage devices are for. If they were turning in progress reports every month, it explains why someone had to leave, because there's no internet in Ever. So they were backing up data onto these drives, which is why they're here. And a manager would leave up the elevator with one of these, and then a new one would come down. And that was the cycle. And as you're thinking about that and putting it all together, you recognize now, even though you were lied to about what the job was, why the time frames were the way they were. Clearly, a manager was supposed to leave here with the most recent data on their experiments and didn't. So eventually somebody freaked out about no one coming out of here. So clearly something went wrong, and created this fake job for a mercenary crew to come down because they didn't want to waste their own resources in a potentially dangerous situation, which is very on brand for House. Very on brand.
I just realized I said all of that in robot voice. Very on brand for house politics.
Inquiry though, because are you convinced that this was an accident or sabotage? According to logs, supplies and the like were denied or never came in the past 3 months.
It's at that moment where Nickel kind of like grabs onto your arm, but not in a way that's hostile, more that your comment kind of shocked Nickel into realizing something. And he grabs your arm and he says, we've been hemorrhaging money for multiple years at this point. I could see one of the houses becoming dissatisfied with the losses in gold we were sustaining, and rather than breaking their contract with another house, they sabotage it. It's possible. But we, those fools, worked.
And at this point, you see the light in his chest is dimmer than you've seen it since you got here. The red is becoming this dark burgundy color, and it's barely like it's only visible because of how dim it is in this room, and the flashing is so slow that it's almost like it's less a heartbeat and more just like a slow breathing at this point. And as he spoke, the ends of his sentences are starting to slow down. The words are starting to elongate as he's powering down. So at this point, if anyone has a final question or anything to say to him, this is it.
Liv will say one last thing after everybody else, if everybody else is finished.
I have a question, but we could probably ask it to someone else. So I just want to know who owns the tavern.
That is a good question. Anybody have anything else to say to Nickel?
No.
I see Ward. Ward's ready
Nope.
to fuck out. Yep. All right, Adam, it's all you.
Liv will just say, "Rest, my friend. The data will leave this location. You may rest knowing that."
For your time and for
And the light goes out, and the head slumps. What would you guys like to do?
Liv will walk over to Haley and present the data thingy and say, "Objective completed."
Well, I guess so. And she'll take her bag off and stuff it in one of the side pouches and throw it back on and give a radiant smile to the rest of the group. Shall we go? What's over there, Ward? Shall we go?
St. Paul, is it normal for the humanoids to have dispersed?
Excuse me? What? I'm sorry, this was enrapturing. What humanoids?
No one is out there.
And he pokes his head down because the door itself is only like 5 feet high. It definitely doesn't seem like it was this seems like an emergency hatch almost. And he peeks down. He's pretty tall. And he goes, "Well, shit. This is bad. This is bad. We should be very careful. Do you see anybody in there?
Do I detect any signs of life? Oh, you just gonna walk out? Okay.
Yeah. He walks over where the fire used to be.
Yeah.
Shit. No, this
Dirty food.
could be bad. Yes, Neely. As you look around, you see there's still food on plates, but there are no people.
But these cleaners have come early.
All right, everybody, group up. Do any healing you would do before going upstairs, because I imagine that's where you're going from here. So, go ahead and drink potions or use healing spells, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna grab tokens, get you guys all in a group.
Haley handed Ward a healing potion last session. Was it a basic healing potion?
Yes.
Okay. So I should have 3 of those.
Liv, dear, do you need one of these? St. Paul gave you a greater healing potion. Do these work on you? Smells nice.
I mean, they work on me. And I look down at Liv.
Affirmative, they will.
You should certainly drink the one that St. Paul gave you, and that was
Let me go ahead and do this first.
It's a max healing because you're using an action.
Got it.
She will take the next 2 minutes to cast Mending twice.
So I will say that it will fix your physical form, but you're still down on HP because health points are more. I mean, Richard and I have talked about this. They are more
It's a feature of my of my
of
race.
auto nodes.
Yes.
Oh, those guys are. Yep. Healing. It's. Yep. I'm reading that. Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm just basically using her hit die.
Yeah, this is like a free short rest type of deal. That's cool.
Yep.
I will keep that in mind for the future, though, when it comes to long rests, because you only get, what, half your hit die back?
If your hit die, that's correct.
Yep, that's good to know. Okay, good to go? Everyone good on healing?
Yeah, I'm good.
As close as I'm willing to get.
I think Allie's slightly behind, eating up, picking up a lot of the food. Like, oh, it's still good, smelling it. Oh, this is nice. That tastes pretty good.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, Liv is not a humanoid. She's a construct. So if anybody tries casting spells on her, make sure it doesn't say humanoid. With the exception of some, not all healing spells, but it doesn't really matter because Liv is the healer of the group anyways. So
Ward is looking back over his shoulder longingly at that shield that he never picked up, but there's more important things. I wanted to take the whole guy because he said we could make him into plate later. I don't have time to carry the whole guy out here.
As you ascend the wooden stairs, the first thing you notice is the smell of moisture in the air, and then the sound of rain. As your time underground, it seems like the weather has changed. It is raining outside. You see Calavesh and Jeremy, William's companions, sitting at the bar, and a familiar face serving them drink. Your friend Edward. Oh, good evening. Good evening. If you're coming from that direction, that means you went out through the emergency hatch. Congratulations on surviving.
Where is everybody? Eddie?
The tavern has been closed for the night. You know, we've got special guests here. 2 sets of special guests, both in the master suites. Very well done, by the way. It was a choice I didn't think you'd go for, but please come sit down. There's enough chairs. Have a drink.
DM, is this a giant window to the west?
Yeah, and the hundreds of cloaked figures out into that you see in the street. Yes. As you look through the windows, you see that there are dark cloaked individuals standing in the street and on top of buildings. You see as the moonlight comes from between clouds as the rain falls down on their wet cloaks. Just a wall outside the tavern. An empty tavern, except for you. What would you like to drink? There's still some food, I think, if you're hungry.
I was just carrying like 2 plates in one hand. There was some downstairs that we had arrived at. There's nothing on this, right? There's like no MSG or poison or anything like that.
I don't know what MSG is, but I'm pretty sure it's not on there.
So what brings you all the way out here, besides my beautiful smile and dashing personality?
Well, if you've come from that direction, it means you succeeded in getting out of the lab. He's going to do a perception check. And I'm going to ask, with that perception check, is anyone trying to hide the storage device. Remember, it's pretty big.
Allie, she put it in her bag and she tied it up. She tied it up into one of her packages and put it in her bag at the bottom. Specifically said that. Yep,
And you did it downstairs before coming up?
downstairs. Yeah.
Okay.
Is,
Uh,
is that a storage device you have there, or are you happy to see?
Yeah, you just really happy to see me. And you'd have to be really happy to see me if for a bulge that big in your bag. Give me a stealth roll as you noticed him kind of scanning the group as you come upstairs, and you kind of adjust your bag so that way the bulge doesn't become noticeable.
I'm gonna use
Yep.
inspiration.
Use your
You
inspiration.
adjusting your bags, huh?
That-
Wow.
It's a
Yeah, but-
euphemism.
16. Kind of for Haley. 16.
16. Okay. All
It's a
right.
bulge.
I imagine you like set the bag on the hook that's underneath the bar for adventurers to hang their bags of holding, and definitely not their purses.
If he sees it, it'll be just the tip.
Make it easy. Or however you can get it.
William, how are you doing? And William kind of sidles up next to his companions. Well, it was a little dicey down there, but we handled ourselves. These youngins did better than I thought they would. That's for sure. What are you doing here, Edward? No, you can't be a broker. 'Cause if you were a broker, you wouldn't know about the lab. Edward smiles, looks at everybody else. You sure you don't want a drink? You sure you don't want food? Well, you have food. Eisendrag, would you like some?
No, I've lost my appetite.
What about you over there, Eltar?
Just smoking his pipe. Just grunts.
And Liv, we know you don't eat, but would you like mechanical oil or something? I don't know if there's something that would help keep your joints loose.
I do not require sustenance or anything at this moment.
All right. Ward, I see you standing behind Haley. Would you like anything?
Answers would be nice.
I know in Sharn, some of the Warforged bars, they have special types of food that they make that is not really edible for other humanoids, but I'm sure they have something like here in the back. But you just want answers.
Or not.
Well, why don't we start with you telling me what happened? How about that? And someone can fill him in, give your version.
No,
of
no, no, no,
events.
no, no, no. Why should we tell him shit?
Let me know how you respond. Are you
Yeah. I was like, no, I think you should start. Like, how you were here. And it'd be nice if there was some truth in what you said, as opposed to the bullshit you've told us so far.
And real quick, this was the same guy that gave us a job in the first place that met us in the tavern. That's
Uh-huh.
right. Okay, that's all I want to know.
And I did a read on William St. Paul. Is he nervous? Is he like
sure? Roll an insight.
9? So Haley's got her plates and she's like looking around and eating.
You take a look at him, and he seems to be just kind of leaning down next to Calabash there. They seem to kind of be whispering to each other. He doesn't. I mean, even with a 9, right? You spent a little bit of time with him. He doesn't look happy. And Edward smiles, and from a door to the north, you watch what looks like a very efficient team of individuals come in and move in lockstep, and they go downstairs from whence you came. Well, I mean, it's fine. You don't have to be forthcoming. My team will make sure it's safe to go down, and even if the mainframe powered down completely, I'm sure they've got some backups or some storage or something. We'll still get what I was sent for. I, as you can imagine, at this point, work for one of the houses. Doesn't really matter who. And he motioned towards William's team to the north, and then waves his hand towards all of you. That's where you exist. Machine that we call life. And he kind of smiles at Liv and Ward. Pay money and do important things. And then when dangerous things spring up in the way of progress, we pay people like all of you to clear the way of progress.
But we know everything now. You could have just why lie? If we're gonna know it all, you could have just given us some idea of what we were walking into. We could have been better prepared. We halfway walked away from this entire thing once we found that the job we were sent to do was there was nothing to do.
And if you had done that, then you wouldn't have made the money that you're going to make now. And he starts pulling out bags from behind, and he puts a bag in front of each of you. And he just kind of sets 5 in a row down that south bar. Then he puts 3 in front of each of the mercenaries to the north, each of the 3 amigos. Now you get paid for clearing the way of progress. And now your name gets added to a list, a different list. See, before you were on a list of disposable help, and now you're on a list of less disposable help, but trusted help. And that's a list that pays more money.
Really, is that a good list?
Also, before you leave here, and he pulls out a bunch of manila envelopes. And he said, you're also going to sign this. And this is a magical, and if you don't sign this, you don't leave.
I think Haley will take it and give it her 1 silver. What am I signing here?
Yeah, you sign, as you look through, he puts this in front of each of you. He puts them next to the gold bags that are on the bar. There's 2 there on the bar for Eltar and Liv. So those are in the 2 spots to the south of Eisendrach, if you guys want to come over and look at them.
Now that there's money on the table, Eltar will go over there.
Yeah, does
Yep.
he provide a quill?
Yes. But no ink, and you'll find out why in a second. Give me an investigation roll, Haley, as you look through this contract.
I hope.
That is an 11.
Yeah, if anyone is proficient and wants to help, by all means, Haley, you could re-roll.
Ward is proficient. For some reason, Ward investigates with Haley.
Oh wow! We're standing there next to each other. What does this say, Ward? I have no idea what this word is. It's too big. What is it? I will re-roll.
Saving. Okay, so instead of a 6, it was a 9. Oh, yes, you could add to this, right? You have that feature.
Yes, I can add a D6 if I failed my roll.
It's weird here, right? I kind of treat rolls like this as more of a Pathfinder thing, which some of you will recognize of like critical failure, success, critical success. So you've technically succeeded here, but if you roll better, you'll get some more information. But that's just because D&D words things a certain way. Please, by all means, add your D6.
2 more. 16.
Okay, 2 more. Okay, so you're looking through this, and the first thing that pops out to you is the contract explains what the contract is first. It informs you that by signing this contract and signing it in your own blood, and if it also talks about, because Warforged exist, ways that if you don't have blood, you can also magically bind yourself to this contract. That you are agreeing to the terms of this contract, and if you break them, it sounds off a beacon to the holder of the contract. You get a copy of it for yourself, but the one that is actually magically infused goes towards the party that gives you the contract, which is Edward in this case. So you would sign this contract, you'd give it to Edward, who would then give it to whoever Ed. If you break the terms of the contract, it lets the holder of the contract know that you have, and it lets them know your location. And because you are doing it with your blood, you can be tracked, even after the beacon goes off.
What is the contract asking us to do or not do?
The contract itself requires you to not speak with, or not speak about what you've seen here and experienced with anyone outside of the room that you're currently in. So that is Edward, that is Calabash, William, and Jeremy, and then the rest of it.
Are they also being presented contracts?
And Word, you look over, it's the same exact contract that is in front of William.
Are they signing these contracts?
Yes, they get the contract and they sign them. And I'm not even going to make you guys roll insight here. They sign them so quickly, it is very clear this is not the first time they've signed such a contract. And having adventured with at least one of them, you guys are very aware they are more experienced than all of you. Like, you guys are what, level 3, right? Yeah, everyone's level 3. William and the rest of them, they're all level 8. So like these are you guys, but later. You know what I mean? But these are mercenaries. Remember how Edward spoke about, like, oh, your name's on a different list now, a trusted list. Like, these guys are already on that list. And William looks over at you, Ward, and says, now you know why I couldn't really talk about things with you. This is not my first rodeo.
This makes sense.
That's why he's got that accent.
Will we change our accents if we sign this?
Yeah, it's in a subsection on the last page, actually. Once you sign, you do sound like you come from the South. It's kind of a scatter shot, though. You could come from Arkansas, you could come from Alabama, you could come from Texas. Really doesn't matter, but once you sign, you're Southern.
Does that include Australia?
Yes. Yeah. If you roll real high, but that's way south. You know what I'm saying?
Down under?
But yeah, it is for a contract. Like, there's a lot of legalese in there. There's a lot of pages about, how the locating spell works, and there's like a whole section on when you die, the contract becomes void, but that because it's your blood, if they found out after your death that you spoke about it, then they will find your next of kin. So it's a pretty serious contract.
Yeah, but the scope only covers what's happened in this mission. It's not a blanket thing for work with the family.
Pretty standard. Ward and Liv, here you go. And he hands you. Jeremy has like a device, which makes you kind of wonder why Jeremy has this. He goes, here you go. And he hands it to Edward. Edward goes, thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you bringing this. And he puts it in front of Ward. And you see that it looks almost like a double-sided brand. And Edward says, so this isn't gonna hurt you or anything. You just push this into your palm, and then after you sign the paper, you push it next to your signature, and this will connect you the same way it connects the rest of these little flesh bags. It'll work for you too, Liv, if you're concerned. I know you're concerned.
So I still don't have ink, but I need to sign the paper.
So as you go to sign with the quill, you see that it supplies its own. But the rest of you guys, there's a little pin on the side of the quill where you prick your own finger and it becomes the ink.
Yeah, Ward will sign.
Right? Ward, you sign your name, and then you put the double-sided, like almost stamp against your palm. You see it leaves a slight like insignia, a little symbol that shows up on your palm for a second and then disappears. And then you put the other side against the contract next to your name. The same symbol shows up, but it stays there. And it's kind of like, it reminds you a little bit of the Decaneth Maker Mug. It's the same type of deal that all Warforged have. You no longer see it on your palm, but you feel magically a little tiny weight on your shoulder. And if there's anyone in the party who signed a magical contract before, you just know that it's just a little magical reminder. You know what I mean? Like a little, hey, you have a secret you can't talk about. But Ward has signed. Edward picks up William's contract, Kaladash's contract, Jeremy's contract. Then he grabs Ward's. He brings the little double-sided stamp down to Liv, and then looks at the rest of you.
So Eltar looks over this contract, looks at it, and having grown up in the Fae Realm, just mutters to himself, fucking amateurs, and signs it.
Oh, yeah. The houses of Eberron have a lot to learn from the Fae courts and the levels of hell, for sure. This is an amateur contract.
But Liv will follow suit after Eltar.
Nice. And you go through the same process that Ward went through. You sign your name, and then do the whole stamp thing, and then he picks up Eltar's and Liv's contract, and then he comes back in front of Haley and Eisendrach. So, is there going to be a problem, or are we all going to leave here a little bit richer? Me with information, you with gold.
I'm sorry. I was eating. Could you repeat everything you just said?
No, I'm not going to do that. You sign the contract, and you're able to.
Eisendrach will sign the contract, but he'll scribble out a really horrible version of his signature, but he makes sure that there's an extra little drop of blood and he flicks it at Edward.
You see as it goes towards Edward's face, there's a sheen of magical energy. It hits the blood hits the shield that is just above his skin, then sizzles away. Cute.
Just checking.
Certainly. And Haley will sign her real name.
He watches you sign and he just smiles a little bit, gives you a knowing look. Like,
Gotta keep up appearances.
Of course. Of course. Don't we all? He grabs everybody's contracts. He brings out a little device and just kind of waves it over all of you. And he goes, all right. No, these are all holding. Fantastic. He opens up a satchel and puts all of the contracts in. He says, you'll see there's a little bonus in there because you did it the first night. You had the whole weekend to work, but you did it quickly. You did it efficiently. Looks like there was no great loss of life. So there's a little bit of a bonus in there. And each of you, if you were to look in the bags, you'd find it's a little disappointing because you go to pick up the bag and it's really light, and you realize it's because there are 50 platinum pieces in each bag. So you all get 500 gold. Okay. Of course, the normal bonuses for all of you three. Job well done. There's a little bit of extra pay in there as well because you've had to stay here much longer than previous contracts. But it was great working with all of you. You watch as William St. Paul, Calabash, and Jeremy all get up, and William puts on a...
Wait. If they're about to leave, Liv will go back to St. Paul and offer back the potion of greater healing that she did not use that heap.
Oh, you know what, little one? You don't worry about it. You were fantastic in there, and also very informative. You got a hell of a smart little noggin. So you keep the potion. You can pay me back if we ever see each other. All right?
Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure. Good luck. This is a hell of a business now that you're on the next list. Which list are we on, Ed? And Edward looks over. It's like I don't like when you call me Ed. That's not my name. It's Edward. You're not my mother. You don't need to call me Ed. And you're several lists deep at this point. And he looks at the five of you. You're on the first list. So congratulations. Each list, you have more trust and you make more money. So good for you, right?
Hey, what a coincidence. Edmund, yeah, you're on my list too now.
Wow, Billy.
Yep, you watch them go out the top entrance. William gives you a little wave as they go out the door. All right. Well, they're gonna be searched as they exit out that side, and you're all gonna be searched as you go out this door. So unless there's any more questions, I'm gonna go home to my wife.
What's next? Or who do we go to talk to? Where do we go? Like, I want to take advantage of this list.
Yeah. No, we'll contact you. We'll know where you'll be. You'll be on the Red Ringer, unless you pissed off Catherine at this point. Although I've never worked with Captain Garo before. And she doesn't really do work for the houses, but you do, so that's awesome. We'll send a message to either the captain or Garrick. They've got a sending stone on the ship. You all have a good night. Do you have umbrellas? Do you need umbrellas?
I'll take an umbrella.
It's just a nice, simple umbrella. These are free. You don't have to pay.
Appreciate it.
Amateurs. Eltar does not take the free umbrella.
Yeah, probably Traxxas or something.
Ward enjoys the rain.
They literally, can track us by the thingy you everybody decide.
Watches the door to the south opens. Two individuals with very nice weapons on their hips come in, and Edward motions. You're free to go back to your ship. We're just gonna do a quick check of your belongings, make sure you're not leaving with any proprietary thing from the lab. You understand?
Certainly.
Yep. Ward, you walk up, they look through your bags, they look through your stuff. You don't have anything?
Oh, to the south.
Yep, to the south there. Yeah, that's a window. They smile when they see the shield that you got, which, by the way, is a +1 shield.
Oh, look at that.
And they look over your shoulder at Edward, and he just does a shooing motion, I don't care. The shield, who gives a shit? And
He doesn't understand quality.
so you're able to get through. All right, so here's... Oh, there are two of you now. Okay, so here's the thing. Haley has contraband, right? She has the storage. Is there anything that you guys are doing as a group to distract these people or to help her hide it or anything like that? Because otherwise it's a sleight of hand to try and make it so they don't notice it in your bag. So is there anything that you would like to do for each other to help Haley?
I would. Let's see here. How can I explain this?
I think Haley's going to be standing off to the side, getting her umbrella ready. At the same time, putting her backpack on. But I'd like to, as part of the narrative, cast minor illusion as she's taking the bag, like something out of her bag, like maybe it's her cloak to put on over, as she does a illusion, or at least minor illusion, as she's opening the umbrella, but she's trying to store the contraband in the umbrella. What are those pieces of metal called in umbrellas? So it's at least under the umbrella.
I'm trying to figure out a way how I could cast guidance on her.
While we were walking over, I also whispered to the tin can, "I need you to punch Eisendrach."
Oh shit. That's fine.
And then as soon as he said that, because he said it just very plainly, she will turn around and I guess punch him in the nards, because I mean that's how tall she's not.
Yeah, I was about to
tall,
say,
but
not punching him in the face. Oh my god. Okay. So, roll to hit. Unarmed strike.
Yeah.
Roll with advantage. Eisendrach has no idea this is about to happen. What do you think, Randy? Are you oh my god, you rolled even worse. Are you unaware this is happening?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it.
Okay, so you
But I'm going to take advantage of this because I was trying to think of a distraction myself. So when she hits me, even though she doesn't really hurt me, I act like she really I let out a bellow of pain, and in a random direction, I let loose with my breath weapon.
Holy shit. Okay, so here's the thing. Liv, you don't understand draconic, dragonborn physiology. So you go to hit what you think is Eisendrach's balls, and you totally whiff. Totally whiff. You just get. I mean, what are you wearing, Eisendrach? Is it just like a cloak with a breastplate or
Yeah,
something?
it's just like robes. No, I don't. I'm not wearing any armor.
Right. You're what's your class again?
Sorcerer.
Exactly. And Liv, it's probably just all the robes.
But you do hit me, and my skin is like armor.
Yeah, exactly. You hit just the strongest thigh you've ever. Like, you're confused for a moment as your fist makes contact with Eisendrach's thigh, because it's like hitting metal, and that is not what you were expecting. But Eisendrach, you immediately understand what's happening in that moment as you're thinking of something to do, and then you roll a d8 to see which way you fall as you let off your breath weapon.
Well, and I'm intentionally. I'm making it look like it's like I'm falling, but I'm not. I'm directing it so it's not going to hit anybody.
All right, so towards the northwest then?
Sure.
Is it a line or a cone?
It's a line.
A line, right.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I think I want to graze the jerk here. I just want to like blow up those horns.
Exactly. So the line goes off in that direction. Can you guys see the line I created? Yep. And yeah, what is it 15 feet?
Breath weapon, I believe it's 30 feet.
So it goes right up to him, basically. What type of damage is it?
It's lightning. So I basically shoot lightning bolts out of my mouth.
So look, if you put it right at the edge of your token, it gets just up to him. Just that square, just to the south, as lightning just shoots out. Freaking, what is it? Godzilla has lightning breath, doesn't he? Kind of. Isn't that what that is? Like this blue fire. So this blue lightning shoots from your mouth and just destroys this this stool, and just all of these glasses and everything gets destroyed. Edward, who is about to walk to the south, has the satchel with all the contracts in it and pulls them to his chest and does a little bit of a squeal, ooh, as the lightning shoots out.
The hairs on his arm go up from the electricity.
Yeah, they singe. And he goes, "What is going on?" And you're on the
I don't
floor.
know. She hit me.
Okay, so Haley, in this moment, you're gonna get a sleight of hand check with advantage. And are you casting minor illusion on the storage battery?
As I slip it into the umbrella to hide it in the top of the tines as I pop the umbrella, yes.
So this is a heavy thing. It's as big as a small. It's a boombox basically from the 90s. It's not a huge one, but it's like a foot and a half across. And it's about 10 inches tall, 10 inches wide, and it's heavy. It's metal, so it's not going to sit in the tines of the. I guess I should have described its shape a bit more before you made a plan. But it'll fit in your backpack. It's not going to fit in the umbrella.
If the umbrella's opened, like, and I don't have it over my head, like it's laying in the bottom of the umbrella.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it'll be like a bulge in the side of the umbrella, and they are checking. Give me an intelligence check as you go to cast minor illusion. Okay, fantastic. So you know that minor illusion can change what something looks like, but if someone interacts with the illusion, they'll know it's an illusion because their hands will pass right through. But there's kind of an inherent, like, built-in failsafe to that, where you could cast minor illusion on this battery and just make it look like something else. So they would touch the battery, and it would look like, and it would have the same shape and everything, but maybe it won't look like the battery storage backup. Maybe you make it look like something else. So is there anything that you can think of that, like, maybe a small foot locker or something, something else that's metal, that if they just grabbed it, because they're distracted, they won't realize what they're holding? Like a big thermos or something?
Yeah, like a mini fridge, like a small fridge that has, something in there, like pieces of cheese.
Okay, so what this sleight of hand then is going to be you taking advantage of them watching Eisendrach almost kill Ed. And so give me a sleight of hand at advantage.
19.
Fantastic. Okay, so all happening at the same time. Haley, you give them your bag. They're going through it the same way security guards do at like concerts, right? That's a good analogy that we would all know, right? We all go. And they like take the battery out and go to look at it, and in that moment, Liv punches Eisendrach in the thigh, and Eisendrach falls over, and lightning shoots out of his mouth up towards Edward, and Edward squeals in fear for a second. Both of the men look over in that direction, and you cast minor image on the battery, and they look back, and it's like a big food thermos, like a container to keep things cold or warm. And remember, I've told you before, magic in Eberron is everywhere, right? Like, people have ovens that have an enchantment on it, so they never need to add wood to it. It just gets warm. They just turn a dial and it does its thing. So the idea of having like a container to put your food in to keep it warm or cold, not strange, not weird. Adventurers would definitely have something like that to keep their food warm or cold as they adventure. A little mini fridge, like you said. They see that, and because of the distraction, because of everything that's going on, they put it back in your bag. And they continue looking, and then they hand your bag back to you, and you're able to.
Thank you. Boy.
And Edward comes over, and he's like, "What the hell was that? Are you? I put your name on the good list, and now you're fighting each other?
Gordon, do you want me to do it again?
I think he's learned this lesson.
What'd you do,
And we
Eisendrach?"
walk out.
Oh, that she's malfunctioning.
Oh, you should hope.
An absolute screw loose.
Eltar, do you even have bags for them to look through? Like normal adventuring stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I have stuff, so I have a backpack.
Okay. Yep, they look through it, they wave you through. I guess this is a good moment. Did anybody grab anything from any of the rooms that you were in inside the lab? Other than this battery storage device, did anybody pocket anything or grab any of the notes, post-it notes, or any of the papers, parchments?
Haley, no, she didn't.
Just the shield. The potion that I grabbed from there, I took. Haley, did you give away that potion as well, or? But I'm sure it was a standard potion, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. That was one of the things they looked at, and they just pushed it because it didn't have anything that, like, it didn't have an insignia on it or any type of marker on it that would say it was from this lab. It's a pretty, like, healing potions in Eberron are pretty standard.
Oh, I wish I would have grabbed the chips.
Oh, I was gonna say that's what I was about to say. Eltar, grab some chips.
They make you, if you had chips, they make you eat them before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
If they make me eat them, Eltar will open a bag, put them in his hand, crumble them, and then just drop it at their feet.
I thought you
We're
were
not-
going to open them and then eat them one by one very slowly.
That's fine. You can be here all night. I don't have any. I'm getting paid by the hour, so you take as long as you need. And then Edward shakes his head. You are getting paid by fucking Eltar. Stop it. They are getting paid by the hour.
No, I cannot take them out with me. So
And then look
You're-
like deep into Edward's eyes while you eat them.
I mean,
look, we're just following the rules.
If we were at the airship port, they would make you throw them away. At least you get to eat them.
Oh, I agree.
I go,
Roll me a D100. 30 minutes later, you finish eating the bags of chip, and they let you go through. Eisendrach.
Congrats on the overtime, boys.
All right. Last one. Come on. You got anything, big man? All right. They check your stuff. They don't find anything. You go through. The door shuts behind you. You see Edward kind of talking with the two men that are in there. And then all three of them go down to the stairwell that you walked up, and they disappear down if you're looking through the window. If you were to try the door, you find that it is locked. And as you look around in the park to the south and in the street, you see just men and women in cloaks everywhere. And they all seem to be watching you, but there's a gap in the street that leads towards the air dock where your ship is parked. And there's a way for you to walk through.
I guess we go.
We go.
All right. As you make your way to the ship, you find that besides the extra 500 gold in each of your pockets, you have also leveled up.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, you're all level 4 for surviving through this encounter, surviving what would have been a pretty nasty fight if you didn't sign the contract. All of that counts as one big milestone.
Need no levels, only shield.
Make it back to the ship. Yes, Ward, you have a shield +1. I can add it to your character sheet if you want, or you can do so on D&D Beyond.
Yeah, let me just do it on D&D Beyond.
Yep, then we'll port over next time. Because we're going to have to port it over anyway. You're all a higher level. You get back to the ship, and you see Garrick is on the deck in a cloak as well, but this one's to keep himself dry. He sees you all walk up in the middle of the night. He has a lantern, like an ever-burning lantern, hooded lantern, and he sees you coming up the gangplank, and he's like, "Is everything all right? Did something happen?"
Yes and yes.
Okay, well, let's get you in then. Or are you done with the job?
I believe we are.
Congratulations. Was the captain right? Was it the house's just bullshit politics?
Yes, sort of standard operating procedure.
Congratulations on surviving then, because you either come through richer for it or not at all. So get below deck. It's nice and dry, and we can all talk about it in the morning. Captain said we're heading north anyway, once you're all done.
Oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Take a load off.
All right, you're able to go below decks. You find all your rooms are nice and cozy, just as you left them. You're able to. Is there anything you want to do before you long rest for the night?
Just eat some food. Garrick, is there anything to eat? We've walked a long way.
Yeah. So you notice he just waves you down to below deck, and they've figured you out. Hey, there's always food in your room.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it in the morning, and you're all able to take your long rest and level up. So I don't know if you guys want to level up now or wait till after the session.
And can I go ahead and change my infusions like we discussed?
100%.
Let's take a little break, level up, and hurry up.
And as the day starts with your level 4 bodies, everyone feeling stronger and richer from the gold you received, you feel this slight nagging in the back of your mind as you remember and realize that there's a magical contract. And it's the type of thing where in quiet moments in the middle of the day, you're not paying attention to anything. You just hear like a low buzz in the background. You can't tell if it's in your head or if there's something that flew by you or something like that, but there's this weird thing in the back of your consciousness that is a constant reminder of a contract you have with one of the great houses. And after your meal, you're invited into the captain's quarters, and Catherine Garrow is sitting at her desk. She looks at all of you and says, "So, you've been paid? I imagine if it was one of the houses, you might not be able to talk about it?" She just looks at all of you.
About what? Talk about what?
The job? The job?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I've signed. Okay, you can say that there was a job. You just can't talk about what happened on the job. She laughs a little bit. This is your first. Okay, this is everybody's first time with working for a house.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Cute. We can get underway. I have another job lined up. This time, not through a fixer or a broker. I have an old traveling companion of mine who gave me a call last night while you were all gone, and she needs help with a settlement she has in the valley. And I figured she retired from adventuring. She's pretty well off, and she needs some help. So that's where I was going to go, and I was going to run it by all of you. Is there anything we need to talk about because of the job? Anything? Well, here's the thing. All right, you're being cute about not being able to talk about it. Is there anything I need to know or be warned about based on your job? Because if you bring in danger to my ship, I need to know about it. You're my crew, so it comes with the territory. But there needs to be trust.
Okay. Well, so we were leaving. We were all searching for contraband, and I'm not really sure what contraband means, but
Something that's illegal.
like illegal for who, right?
I mean, it depends on who is the controlling party.
Exactly. So since I was in control of this piece of material here from the lab, I didn't think it was contraband, but I didn't want them to get their hands on it.
Okay, so you go to say lab, and you get like a splitting pain behind your right eye as you go to say lab.
To the laundry. So, anyways, this thing here, like, came out of there, and Natalie will produce that.
You brought something back, and
And so live. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I think it's your friend's soul in here or something.
that's very funny. So the captain watches you pull out this storage device, and her eyes go wide. She goes, "Oh, that is very brave and very stupid. We can just keep that on here, and I can plug it in to make sure it stays powered, or we can look at what's on it. But once we do that, that's a decision. And so I'm gonna have to think about it. But if you want to keep what's on there safe, then we can connect it to an auxiliary cord that's connected to the reactor on the ship, and that will keep it powered. So whatever is stored on there will be safe. I'm not comfortable reading it right now because we're still in port. We should leave before they realize you took anything. Let's head northeast. Unless does anybody else have a line on a job? Because my old traveling companion, she's gonna pay well, whatever the problem is. So unless you have another idea, we're gonna go.
Is it a popular city with nice inns and taverns, good food?
No, she went back and took over her clan. She's a dwarf. She was ostracized from her clan, and then went back and tried to do a hostile takeover, I guess you could call it. Left with some of her people and opened up a new village, I guess you'd call it, in a valley. And they've been just self-sustaining for a while now, but I guess they ran into some trouble. So
So what you're saying is mushrooms and potatoes as she glances towards Eltar, wrinkling her nose.
yeah, what does everybody think? Does this sound like a good idea? You guys down for this?
I mean, yeah, if she pays well, and I guess I can eat that stuff.
There'll be food.
I mean, after all, there's great food here, so I say yes.
The rest of you are silent. So the captain kind of talks to Garrick for a little bit. The rest of you can discuss this if you're down for this, and also if you're cool with what she does for the storage device.
So what do we want to do with this, Liv? Like, since it's our captain, your captain, my captain, we should, like, just keep it, hold on to it. Do you want to look at it first? You're being coy, Livia.
Weren't we not supposed to talk about anything down there?
I'm not talking about anything down there, because it's not down there anymore.
Fair enough.
Right? Yeah.
Do that.
We'd love to hear your opinion.
Wish you would ask our opinion before you said anything to me, Captain. But Liv will leave it to you. Or basically would leave it to Eltar.
I mean, you powered down and knocked out or whatever. I was trying to, like, talk to you about it last night, but you just weren't having any of it. So I was like, oh, I'll just, and this was the next opportunity. So here we are.
Hey, I mean, we've got to tell somebody about it, but
Why do we have to tell somebody about it?
I mean, these families got to get paid.
So if we would have talked about it the night before, the best thing to do was just to simply ask the captain if we could. Well, Liv doesn't know about the port, so Liv would just say at the next opportunity she would like to analyze the data because she's not aware of the port. So
I think you should take that thing and chuck it over the side the first opportunity you get.
well, Liv is curious, so that's just her opinion. She's only speaking for herself. So I'm sure you all have your opinions, and feel free to share.
And playing that thing for the captain probably constitutes violation of the contract.
That information saves no one, but it can bring harm to us.
Well, a good point. That thing paints a giant bullseye on our backs.
Why did we take it?
You wanted it?
No, I didn't take it out there. Somebody just handed it to me. I took it and I did what I did what I thought I was supposed to do. When you guys hand me stuff that we take from places, I put it in places nobody can find it. And so here we are.
All right, have you guys come to a consensus?
Nope.
Well, I think Liv wants to take a look at what's on this.
So Liv, the way she works, she is not going to argue with anybody if they have a differing opinion. She will follow whatever Eltar tells her.
All right, then to make this easy, the captain will let you know the data hookup on the ship is not a high-speed data hookup. So whatever information is on there, it will take days, if not weeks, for it to download and decode everything. So that way you guys can access it, move it, or transfer it, or read it, or anything. It's going to take time. So if you do want to get down to business with it, you won't be able to do it today. You guys can start traveling over to that valley, in which case that's going to take like 2 weeks at least anyway. You know what I mean? So
Sounds good. Are we leaving the port right away? We left the port already?
you can. Is there something you wanted to do here before leaving?
I'd like to buy some books, please. I'd like to look for spells.
So you wanted to like buy scrolls, or you wanted to buy spell books?
Whatever I can find in my budget.
So you watch as she goes down in the cabin next to Garrick's first mate's quarters, and there's like a whole panel she opens in the wall that has all of these electronics, and she hooks up the battery storage to a cable, and she pulls out, there's like shelving there underneath where all the electrical stuff is, and she takes the side of the shelf and pushes it, and it flips like it's on a like there's a pivot point, and the bottom comes up and becomes the top, and then she uses a piece of wood to lock it in position, and you see that there's a panel and a keyboard there, and she like reads the drive, makes sure that it connects, and then she starts the download process, and you see a progress bar show up, and it's like 0.5%, and then it goes to 0.51%, and it's just slowly filling up. And she's like, I've had this ship since before the war, before high speed transfer was a thing, so this is going to take a while.
Understood.